Hi, everyone, and welcome to Biblio Files. This is the show on AADL TV, where we take a few minutes each episode to talk about a different book topic. This week's discussion is going to be on a book that everyone loved or was very well reviewed, but just didn't do it for us. So, Christopher, what did you pick?
Every reviewer has loved it. For once, everyone is right. A corker, an epic comedy, a grand comic fugue, whatever that means, astonishingly original. Well, I'm glad we all have different tastes because the world would be a pretty boring place if we all agreed on what book that we loved. This book did not do it for me. A Confederacy of Dunces. The basic plot is an anti-hero has to raise some money, and so he has a string of different jobs, and he meets a lot of colorful characters and gets into a lot of situations. I did not think it was funny. The book really didn't do anything for me. And it feels weird because it's been so well reviewed and recommended to me so many times, but I just couldn't get into it. Sometimes the book is compared to Don Quixote or Schweik, but I think the similarity is really just superficial. And I don't need to sympathize with the main character either. It just didn't work for me. So that is A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. Truly, the rest of the world loves this book. So maybe in a way, I am recommending it to everyone to give it a try. Amanda, what did you pick?
Well, I'll first say that I read that book, Confederacy of Dunces, and I loved it. I totally give it 4 out of 5 stars. So that proves the point that it's okay to not like a book some other people like. This is so much fun. So it's a weird book, though. It's definitely a weird book, and you have to be in like right mind frame to just, it's weird. So the book that I chose is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. It's a 2017, it was her debut novel by the author, and everybody I've talked to liked it and recommended it, and I just could not get into the book. So this is basically what the premise is. Smart, warm, uplifting Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine is the story of an out-of-the-ordinary heroine whose deadpan weirdness and unconscious wit make for an irresistible journey as she realizes the only way to survive is to open your heart. I love the premise. I love a really good, particularly flawed female character. I love reading those books, their journeys, their evolutions, their learning, their lives. And I don't know why I just couldn't get into this one. The woman she's 30, she's single, she is a finance clerk, she comes home to a bottle of vodka and pizza every night. She's just quirky and awkward, and I love those kinds of characters, but I just couldn't get into the book enough to read it through the end to find out, like, she has a traumatic, something happened in her previous life or earlier in her life where she has a traumatic past, and I didn't read it enough to discover while I was reading it what the trauma was and why she is the way she is and how she thinks and feels the way she does or doesn't. I did read online eventually, so I know the end. I won't say it here, but I know what the thing was. But I couldn't get into the book enough to uncover what her discover her troubled past and to use that to like empathize with her or to understand her more. And I really wanted to love the book. I did. I've read other books with a similar premise that I've gotten through, like Where'd You Go, Bernadette, or Be Frank with Me is sort of similar. And this book, everyone just loved it. And it didn't do it for me. But it did it for a lot of other people. So if you liked it, I don't know, maybe I'll go back to it someday. But for me, I put it down because for me, part of this discussion too is realizing that it's okay to not like a book other people like and to spend your reading time on another book you might like more. That's the way I kind of look at it. So that's Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Lucy, what did you think about today? What did you bring?
Well, first of all, it's just to underscore the point that every book is different for every person. I loved Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. And I thought specifically because I think it had one of the best first person descriptions of depression that I've ever read. Like, so just sometimes it's a moment in a book that clicks for you. Sometimes it's something in a book that sets you off in not liking it in the beginning, and you can't get past that. For instance, the book that I chose is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. It was written in 2017, and this was her second book after her very popular debut, Everything I Never Told You, which I really liked. And this book was so widely loved and really well rated. Everyone talked about how great it was. It's been made into a TV show. It just didn't do it for me. The basic premise is it takes place in Shaker Heights, Ohio, which is this very planned community. It's about this picture perfect family named the Richardsons. The mother is named Elena, and this single mother who's an artist named Mia Warren moves into the neighborhood with her daughter, and she sort of bursts this little bubble of perfection. And Mia and Elena's kind of fascinated with Mia. They become friends. And then there's this subplot of a family friend of the Richardsons trying to adopt a Chinese American baby. And Mia and Elena end up on opposite sides of this controversy. And then Elena starts digging into Mia's past and finds out some stuff. And that's the book in a nutshell. For me, there were some things that I felt were implausible in the beginning. Like the way these characters have been presented to me, I didn't think that they would do that. And I couldn't get that out of my head enough I finished the book, but I couldn't get around that ever. So it just kept disrupting me. And I started to feel like those things were put in there to sort of steer the way that I was reading the book. And for me, that wasn't something that I wanted to be told. I wanted to come up with these conclusions on my own. And then there were these disparate pieces that I felt were just propelling the story in order to get to the final point. But I think what happened is I got picky about something in the beginning, and then I just couldn't get it out of my head. And that does happen to me. Oftentimes I don't finish the book because of it, but this one I did finish because everyone loved it so much. And I thought it's got to be, I'll like it when I get to the end. But for me, this wasn't a book that really resonated. So, and I think I just didn't feel close to any of the characters, again, because I was caught up on those little things that stuck out to me in the beginning. So that is our discussion of books that the rest of the world liked and we did not enjoy. And I think, as we've all said, it just shows that everybody's a different reader and every book feels different at a different time. You can read half a book and pick it up another time, and it's totally different for you. But we all live different lives. We all have different things going on. So books are personal. You guys have any final thoughts about that?
Interestingly, I feel compelled now to check these other two books out and see what I think about them. I didn't expect that would happen.
Yeah, I think that's what's fun too, because like when Christopher mentioned his book title, my mouth was like, oh, how dare you not like it? Or like when I mentioned my book, Lucy's like, oh, I loved it. So that just goes to show you that there's something for everybody. I did not read the book Little Fires Everywhere, but I watched the show and I liked the show. I did not like the characters were so hard to just fall in love with. But I liked the show, but a show is a quick burn. You can just watch it. So I can see how, depending on how it was written, how the book might be frustrating. Did either of you watch the show for that adaptation? No?
I did not. And I've heard there are some things that are different. And I've actually heard that a lot of people liked the show better. And it's not to say that you can't read a book where you don't like the characters, but I think you have to feel like there's enough there for you to hold on to. So I think maybe I'll try the show though. So thank you everyone for tuning in for this episode of Bibliophiles, where we shared with you something that we didn't like that the rest of the world did. As usual, we always love to hear from you. If there's something that didn't click for you that was highly rated by everyone else, we'd love to know. You can leave that in the comments below. Thanks for joining us.